Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second virtual COVID concert that we're going to be doing for GDI. Very honored to be asked to do a second one. The first one aired on May 7th, and the response was unbelievable. Thank you for the many, many phone calls, messages, emails. It was absolutely unbelievable, and it sure makes a person feel good. So when they asked us to do a second one, we were quite honored and looking forward to spending an evening with you again. For those of you who've seen the first one, you'll notice that I said in the beginning I wouldn't be appearing on camera because I really needed a haircut. Well, I did, but I did get my hair cut. I will, however, not be appearing on the full video again, and that is partially due to the way we have to do this and probably my lack of technology, but we need to record it on my little phone, and Dave has to come and pick it up because our internet is no good. And so it's a bit of a process. And I'm quite used to the fact that really it's all about the fiddle. So we will make the fiddle predominant. We also got a lot of really, really positive feedback about the stories behind the tunes. And almost every tune has a great story. When we started to compile a list of tunes to do this evening, John wanted to do a bunch of old French Canadian, old Métis tunes, and a lot of those I didn't know the stories for, so I warned him he would have to tell some stories. So you're in for a treat there too. As most of you who have seen us perform live will know, one of my standard lines always was, "John lets his fiddle do the talking, that's why he married me." But today, or this evening, I should say, I guess we're going to see if he's got a few stories in him too. So thank you again for joining us. For those of you who missed the first concert that aired on May 7th, it's still online on YouTube. You just need to search the Gabriel Dumont Institute and it will pop up, and you can still view that. Thank you to GDI for this initiative. It's been a wonderful way to bring music into a lot of people's homes, and we hope you enjoy the concert. Well, okay, John, I said you'd have to tell some stories, so why don't you intro this first tune?
All right. Now, this is a tune that my dad and his brothers used to sing on the way back from hauling wood from town. And of course, they had to stop at the bar and have a few drinks and then come home. We used to hear them coming from a long way singing these French Canadian songs. And here's the first one that I'm going to play. It's called Saut de Lapin, or Jackrabbit Jump. All right, this is a tune. It's a tune that my dad used to sing years ago, and it originated in France in the 1800s and brought to Canada. Anyway, this is a fine old French Canadian folk song that people used to sing years ago, and it's called Rose en Bois. Now this next tune is a tune I learned from Richard Callahoo during recording of Drops of Brandy, which GDI done, and this was a tune that he played for the dancers in northern Alberta quite a bit. And so this is a reel of four.
Okay, I'm going to intro this next tune. It's called Whiskey Before Breakfast, a very well-loved fiddle tune played by all kinds of fiddle players, requested at almost anything you ever play. Square dancers want it played for them all the time, and it was apparently written for Sir John A. Macdonald many years ago. He was known to like to have a nip or two, shall we say, and so the tune apparently was written for him. When we used to perform on a regular basis, we did a lot of school presentations. We had a whole little piece worked out, if you will, where we kind of tried to walk the kids through a bit of Métis history using fiddle tunes. So we would talk about the Métis people being voyageurs, and we'd play something about the water, and then we'd talk about them being trappers. We'd play the Lucky Trapper's Reel, etc. We didn't feel we could leave out Whiskey Before Breakfast, but we also didn't want a whole little gym full of kids, going home and telling their parents that Mr. and Mrs. Arcand told them to drink whiskey before breakfast. So when we would do it in the schools, we would call it Spirits in the Morning. So whether you'd like to call it Spirits in the Morning or Whiskey Before Breakfast, we hope you enjoy the tune.
All right, now I'm going to be playing my dad's version of this, and I'm going to try and play it as much as possible the way he played it. All right, here's Whiskey Before Breakfast.
up to this point, John has been playing one of the fiddles that he made. We were talking about that in our first concert. He is a luthier, makes fiddles all winter long, and has got quite a few. He's working on number 70, but we'll probably delay that now for grass cutting, etc. Wrong time of year for that. Hey, John. Along with making fiddles, he collects a lot, and he has switched to one of his prized possessions, which is an original Colin Mazan fiddle. What can you tell us about that, John?
Yeah, this fiddle was made in 1894 in Paris, France. Made by the granddaddy of all the Colin Mazan makers. And I believe they made them up until 1945. And I was lucky enough to obtain this years ago, and it's still really loud, so cover your ears.
Well, that sounds about right. All the fiddles are loud. And what tune are you going to play on your special fiddle?
This is a tune I got from Gilbert Anderson, and he used to play this tune for all his pattern dancers and that he used to play for. And this is called Saskatchewan Circle. But I think the proper name of it is a Circassian Circle. And this is a pattern dance that people used to dance to.
Well, that is a sweet sounding fiddle, John. I think we should slow things down a little bit. One of my favorite tunes that you told me you learned from Gilbert is a beautiful waltz called the Fort Edmonton Waltz. Can you tell us about that tune?
Yeah, this waltz was a tune that Gilbert really enjoyed playing, and he taught it to me years and years ago. And this is the Fort Edmonton Waltz.
Well, that really was a beautiful waltz. I just love playing that tune. Now, let's pick it up a little bit. Here's another one of my favorite tunes to play. I've always just had a real like for this catchy little reel. This is called the Gaspe Reel, and we really don't know too much about it. Tried to do a little research and figure it out. Seems to be kind of mixed things on the internet, so we'll just let it go as that. When we recorded it, we called it traditional. And it has been a tune that, again, John's family would have played for many years or whatever. And it is just a fun tune to play. So let's play the Gaspe Reel.
Yeah, this next tune is a tune that my dad and all his people used to play and sing. There's lyrics to this tune. Of course, I don't know them, but there is such a thing. Anyway, they call this Wezo a bec pointu, and the English called it jacket trimmed in blue, which is altogether a different thing. Anyway, here it is.
right, for this next tune, we're going to go back to 2001. John came in one day and he'd written a new tune. A nice little peppy tune, but as often happens, he writes them and then needs to wait a little bit to name them. So it remained unnamed. Back in 2001, John's mom was still alive, living in Debden, Saskatchewan. And every once in a while, she'd phone when she had some exciting news. And a couple days after the tune was written, John was out working and Kokum called. And we covered off the usual weather, ailments, etc. And then she got all excited and said, "You have to tell John, I seen his friend. La Grand Couette. I had no idea what she was talking about, but carried on the conversation and told her I'd be sure to tell John. So when John came in for lunch, I said, "Well, your mom called, pretty excited about seeing someone in Debden," and all she kept saying was La Grand Couette. Well, John just chuckled and he said, "Well, she meant John Leclerc." Now, back in 2001, our friend John Leclerc lived in Debden, and he had long hair and he always wore a big braid in the back of his head. So, La Grand Couette means the big braid. And obviously, thus became the name of the tune as well. So, John, if you're out there listening, this one's for you.
Yeah, this next tune I want to play is a tune that I recorded, and my dad and grandfather used to play them, and this tune comes from the Red River country and passed on through generation after generation. And yeah, when I ended up recording them, it was 35 years after my dad passed on, and so we never knew the names of any of them. And anyway, so we gave them numbers, and this particular one is one that we started recording, and this one is called Victor's 39th.
talked about many times, a lot of tunes will morph and change, if you will. They're originally done a certain way and then carried geographically sometimes, and sometimes it's just lack of knowledge on how to play the tune. John referenced the drops of brandy in a tune a while ago there, and that was a perfect demonstration of that. The Drops of Brandy was published by the Gabriel Dumont Institute, and it took Métis fiddlers from across Canada and sort of demonstrated how in every geographical region, everybody will play the same tune. They will all play Drops of Brandy, or they'll all play the Red River Jig, but every single one of them is just a little bit different because of how they learned it, where they live. I mean, there's a variety of reasons. So a lot of tunes like that have happened. Now, Drops of Brandy is an amazing anthology, and it is still available through the Gabriel Dumont Institute. And anyone that might be interested in Métis music history, I strongly recommend that you contact the Institute and get a copy of that. But now we move ahead to a tune that is just that, has been morphed and changed a little bit. This is a well-known tune called the Arkansas Traveler. Now, that tune was written in the 1800s by Sanford Faulkner, and it was the state song of Arkansas. I think it may still be. But John's dad and grandfather, etc., picked up the tune and played it, but they played it just a little bit different. Now, the only way to really demonstrate that is to ask you to go and look up the Arkansas Traveler and listen to the difference. But due to the difference in the tune, we have recorded it, we play it a lot, it gets requested a lot of other people have recorded it, and we call this the Arkansas Traveler. Hope you enjoy. D, right?
Now, this next tune I want to play is one of my dad's favorite waltzes, and this is an old tune that they learned somewhere along their travels, I guess, and this is called the Moonlight Waltz, and I think most people from the last generation really enjoyed listening to this. Here's the Moonlight Waltz. this next tune I want to play is a tune I learned from Leonard Brambrum in Duck Lake. And somebody told him that before they would give him this fiddle, he had to learn how to play the rabbit dance. And here's a version of what he taught me.
Well, that rabbit dance was interesting, John. Is there actually a dance that goes along with that?
Oh yeah, the people used to. It's kind of like a pattern dance a little bit, where the rabbit is getting chased around by a fox or something. Anyway, and yeah, people used to dance that lots and lots years ago.
Actually, now that you say that, I remember, again, the Gabriel Dumont Institute did a book on that called The Story of the Rabbit Dance. I believe Jean Pelche wrote the book, and they published it. So that's interesting. And speaking of animals and dances, one of the things that always piqued my curiosity, if you will, when I started performing with John, and we would play for dancers, was a duck dance, which, John was saying in the rabbit dance, they're being chased by a fox. The duck dance tries to emulate a mother duck and her ducklings. If you ever watch them on the water, it's a very interesting thing to witness. And then the Métis people have developed a dance that kind of mimics that motion, if you will. So let's play a duck dance.
Okay, we'll play Gilbert's duck dance. And Gilbert taught this to me years and years ago, but you have to cross tune your fiddle, so to give it more ring. And this is called Gilbert's duck dance.
The next tune we're going to play for you is a tune that John wrote for a very special man. This tune is called Harry Daniels. Now, Harry Daniels, probably the best thing, if you want to get to know everything he did, is to Google him. He had an amazing career. John knew the man for probably 30 plus years, and back in the early 2000s, he showed up at our annual Fiddle Fest. We were so honored to see him here, and I was so happy to finally get to meet the man. As I said, Google him. He's done amazing things, and the thing he's probably best known for is the Supreme Court case, Daniels versus Canada. That court case, which went on for quite a while, he ended up winning, and it guarantees that the Métis and non-status Indians are considered Indian under the Constitution. So it was a huge milestone for especially the Métis people. Harry passed away in 2004, and it was shortly before that that John wrote this tune. We feel like it's happy and vibrant, and anybody who knew Harry Daniels knows those two words describe him perfectly. He was so much more than a politician. He was a writer, he was an actor, he was a very, very vibrant person. So we hope you enjoy this tune. Here's Harry Daniels. Well, our time with you is almost at an end. We hope you've enjoyed the selection of tunes that John came up with for this one. A bit more of a traditional, almost a walk down memory lane. Hey, John?
Well, it's like an archival kind of a setting.
Yes, well, learned a lot of tunes that his father or grandfather used to play. It was an interesting journey even for me. As I said in the beginning, we needed to practice a little bit to pull them off, but we did the best we could, and we sure hope you enjoyed it. We want to extend again a great amount of gratitude to the Gabriel Dumont Institute. Their tireless work on the preservation of the Métis history and their publications, etc., is very, very astronomical. And we're very happy to work with them every year in partnership for our annual festival, where we include the Métis Cultural Camp, and they play an integral part in that. Through the COVID pandemic, they've been bringing you concerts live like this one, And well, I guess this one is taped because of our internet. We couldn't do it live. But again, a special thanks to Dave for all his work on making that happen. And the ones that have been live, we've enjoyed very much. It's wonderful to see them promote the Métis artists and get the music out there. We hope that you enjoyed the tunes, you enjoyed the time we spent with you, and we're going to give you a few minutes now to go and get your moccasins out. Yep, the moccasins, because we're going to end, and how could we not end this show with the Red River Jig? It was about traditional music. It was about the music that John grew up on, and there's nothing more traditional than the Red River Jig. The story behind that, oh, again, it's varied. There's lots of people who seem to think, I should say, that it was brought over and played on bagpipes, and some voyageurs heard it. And John says he doesn't think that's true because the bagpipes aren't in the same key as a fiddle, etc. John's belief is there is a French-Canadian tune called La Grande Jig Simple. And that's a very, very complicated French tune. And he thinks the French voyageurs were playing that tune, and the Métis heard it and picked up little pieces of it. Like we talked about before, tunes that get morphed and changed. And they maybe only picked up a couple segments of the tune, and it became known as the Red River Jig. Anyway, get your moccasins on, get ready to do a little jig around your kitchen, and thank you for spending the evening with us. And again, thanks GDI. Everybody stay safe out there. All right, you have your moccasins on? Get ready. Here comes the Red River Jig.